Hey everybody, welcome to hey Joey, another episode of Design Recharge. I think this is episode 350. It is, because last week was 349. I get confused. Hadn't had a lot of sleep. I feel like Waldo. Doesn't he wear like a shirt like this and he has big round glasses? I'm like, I looked at myself in the mirror on the way from the bathroom on the way here, and I was like, I look like Waldo. My mom, I'm sure, is not sure who Waldo is, but hopefully everybody else got a good laugh, and Jason Carr now has to come and see what it is instead of just working and having us in the background. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about, well, first we're going to introduce ourselves. So where you are, what you do, and your name, of course. Okay. Joey, you're going to start because you're a new one on, and then we're going to make sure Jose gets lots of time before he has to leave to eat dinner because he's in Spain. All right, Joey, tell us where you are. I know where you are, but tell us where you are.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. Hey, team. My name is Joey Roos, and I am in Atlanta, Georgia. And I am running a web design agency as well as launching a software startup called Creative Critique, which is designed for creatives to give and receive quality, actionable feedback on each other's work. We're launching a beta in August, which Diane has so kindly agreed to beta test with her students. So excited about that.
I'm excited too. All right, great. And he's wearing his brand, Creative Critique, but it's not just for students. It's for real people.
Exactly. Right? Yeah.
Okay.
We're beta testing it with students, but the idea is for it to be a professional software that you learn how to use while you're in school.
Right. Because a lot of times we don't get the critique that we need. Right? All right. So We'll go with the second branded person. You people need to wear your own t-shirts, I guess. Scott, I know you got t-shirts, buddy. I have some. Okay. Okay. John, you're the only one in your branded t-shirt. So tell us about you.
My wife and I, Dee, have a branding agency and development agency here in Peoria, Illinois. We have recently started what would be a passion project based on a road trip that we took last year. That kind of gave us a different insight on life in general, kind of kick back and take things a little bit more easy and spend time with family and friends. And that's what this brand is all about, our merchandise brand. So that's probably what we'll be sharing some of today. So that's what we got.
All right, Jose. Oh yeah, you said you're at Peoria, Illinois. Okay.
Okay. So, hi everybody. I'm Jose from Seville, Spain. And I have a background as a product designer during more or less 15 years. And now I pivoted to design consultant. So what I do is just make things happen for people that has projects that involve some design or logistics and production, basically.
So is this is how recent of a change is this for you?
Yeah, one year and a half, I think. I started doing that. It was progressive. It was not like from one day to another. Basically, lastly, in January or so, December 2019 or January this year, I started niching down to what is cultural associations and sports clubs as a main client.
Which, it's rough come COVID.
Yeah. That's the point right now, that it's everything upside down, and it's quite tough.
All right, Chris.
Hey everyone, I'm Chris Martin. I'm in Vancouver, Washington, just north of Portland, Oregon. And let's see, what do I do today? I am a podcaster, so I have my own podcast. I do filmmaking. I guess I haven't really done that in a while because it's kind of hard to do that right now. And I like teaching people and helping creative people be the people they want to be. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
And you have a podcast. Tell them about your podcast.
I do not have t-shirts. I am failing the self-promotion game. If only I knew someone in merchandising. I know 2 people now. But my podcast is called Getting Work to Work. And I've always been fascinated with watching people work and learning about work. And so I think I'm eventually going to record episode 420 later today.
Whoa, that's amazing. All right.
Thank you.
I'm leaving D for the end. Scott?
Yeah, so I'm Scott Circlin. I am located just outside of Phoenix, Arizona, in a city called Surprise, Arizona. And my company is CircWorks Art Labs, and it's a number of things, but primarily it's sort of a lifestyle brand for evil geniuses, mad scientists, and supervillains. And I also do a lot of comic books and make comic book products, content, and I teach comics on YouTube. So I just wrapped up a series, it was 22-week series on how to make comics basically from start to finish. So that's all up there. And it's like 17 hours of content. If you're interested in making comics, it pretty much takes you through the whole thing. So
Scott has an ability to work more than other normal humans. I just wanted to let you guys know. All right, D, you're not going to be last. Naomi's going to be last. D, tell us about you.
Hey, I'm Dee. As John said, I'm the other half of this 2-person studio. We're in Peoria, Illinois, and I'm what you call a graphic designer who loves to do anything that creates a visual identity for a company or a system for a company. I love working with people who are eco-friendly, especially package design.
Because you were on 348.
I think so. Design Recharge.
Yeah, sweet. Okay, and it's good. So I think you and Scott were in the first, or one of the first.
Yeah. Hey, Scott.
yeah, how's it going, Dee?
Okay.
Whatever I call it, power stations. Okay. All right. So this is about struggle. Oh, sorry, Naomi. Lord, there I'm struggling. Tell us, Naomi.
No worries. I'm Naomi. I'm in Portland, Oregon. So just under Chris there. And with my daughter right now, I'll call her my apprentice. But I have an independent graphic design company, and then I've just launched a membership where I do pre-designed layouts. I don't call them templates because I don't give editable documents to the clients. They just get a final PDF, but I'm working mostly with copywriters who are looking to do opt-ins and lead generating PDFs and things like that. So they have a shop that I've created of pre-designed layouts, and I just finished at the beginning of this month my founding membership launch. So yeah, that's what I'm doing primarily right now, and that's actually gotten me a lot of traction. Even copywriters who haven't signed up are coming to me with just their custom work now, much more for those types of projects, which has been awesome. So yeah, mainly in the story brand community. I'm a story brand certified guide.
She helped me with was a power station, or was it camp? I can't remember.
Power station, I think your main design company.
Okay, recharging you then.
Yeah,
awesome. Okay, or Little Bird. Anyway, we worked on some stuff.
I think Little Bird was the script we worked on.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
No, your turn now, honey. No, I'm just kidding. All right, Nate. I know she can't talk. She was just banging. She was just putting her voice out there. All right, Nate, it's good to see your face, buddy.
Yeah.
It's on fire at Nate's house, and I have a tornado. So keep going.
Yeah, it's always on fire around here. Let's see. Just like we're doing like little quick.
Oh, who are you? Where are you? And what do you do?
Okay. I'm Nate Bear. I'm in New Jersey. And let's see. Day job is working at a subscription box company, and side gigs doing illustration and branding and random design for a couple clients right now, and have like web stores where I sell pins and t-shirts. And so those are my main tracks. I'm all halfway committed to.
All right. Last but not least, Andre. You'll have to unmute though, buddy. He's already been surfing today, people. He's in Portugal.
Yeah, it was a stressful few days. I let a few things get to me. So So yeah, spoke to Diane actually whilst I was just feeling overwhelmed with, don't know, I'm tired of COVID. A few personal things at home, not anything bad with my immediate family, but just general things. And yeah, I'm just tired. I'm just very tired trying to create things, and I sometimes feel like I'm walking in treacle and not moving very far forward. So anyway, I went for a surf this morning, and it always, I guess, it puts things into perspective. You know, there's lots of things we can't control, and I guess it's just frustration wanting to break something. But yeah, the surf helps. You know, the waves put you back to reality. So yeah, my frustration is just my children as well. I'm struggling because I can see that mentally it's not good for them. I've got a 16-year-old and a 7-year-old, and for both of them, even the teenager, initially was fine, but I guess it plays on my mind as well because I'm a bit worried about them. So yeah, that's what's stressing me out at the moment.
All right, so tell them where you are and what you do.
Oh, sorry. In Portugal, just outside of Lisbon, in a little village just outside of Lisbon. I'm doing brand identity and also working for a web and app development company. Soon to be partnering with somebody else who he has a pool of creatives that he uses from time to time. It's a brand new startup. We're still in talks actually, so I don't want to jinx it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm from South Africa, moved to Europe, traveled quite a few places, lived in a few places, and yeah, Portugal's home for now.
And you're friends with Demi, who's going to be next.
Yes, absolutely.
So tell your name, where you are. You can say where you're from too, and then what you do. And you got to tell them about your new website. Oh, what is you sound like Mickey Mouse. It was the weirdest
How about
sound.
now?
Now you sound like Demi. Okay.
Okay, so this was a glitch of my sound card. I'm so terribly sorry for this. I'm Dimi. I'm originally Greek, but I live in London for the past almost 5 years now, 4.5. Wow. I design brand identities, and I am mostly focused on restaurants and the food business, and I'm deeply involved in research on semiotics, which is the study of signs and symbols and how they work. And this has been my latest endeavor, I would say. So yeah.
Put your thing in the chat too.
I'll
Okay.
put my website on the chat. Yes.
It's really cool, guys. Okay, so Jacob, and then we'll end with Regime, and then we'll get into the talking about, even though Andre kind of started us off, which I think we all, Amy over there in the chat was like, amen, we're done with COVID. We are ready to be done with COVID. All right, Jacob, tell us about where you are, who you are, and what you do.
Hey guys, my name is Jacob. I am a graphic designer and brand strategist in Raleigh, North Carolina. I run a design studio called Sababa Design, where work primarily in brand identities and environmental graphic design for higher education. And on the side, I also have a gourmet cotton candy company called Hot Mess. Some of you know about it, some of you don't, but it's like very obscure flavors and fun branding and packaging.
And they're different kind of flavors.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, sometimes they're alcohol infused flavors. Oh, look at there. That's right. When I got my package this week, I was like, oh gosh, did I order something from Victoria's Secret? I think I got the wrong package. Like it, and then it said explicit. I was like, I know I did not order something explicit. I was concerned. And then I was like, taste explicit. Oh, it's from Jacob. Okay. Okay. Regime, tell us about you.
Hi, Regime. Live in Columbus, Georgia, and I am an artist where I am dipping into a lot of things. So just building up my skills and learning about things. And soon I will be having, focusing on my nonprofit and working with vets and children.
Cool. All right. Let's. So we'll just do the physical hand raise. I think everybody's got used to their arms today. So hopefully, but we're going to start with Jose because he's got to go early. So Jose, what is your biggest struggle? And is it in the past month, or is it, I know you had done sporting. So sporting things, yikes, COVID kind of kills all the sporting things. So what's been the biggest struggle for you?
Yeah, basically, I've got that in one hand, and in the other one, I used to work with another person, and lately we have been having some tensions as well. So it should be as I planned it before. At the beginning, we said he was going to work like independently. We are not like I'm the boss and he's the employee. It's like he's going to work quite independently, doing the commercial stuff for a venture that we have together, which is this one that tends to help this kind of client. Also, from in some of the projects, what I found is that he didn't do really really the work as I would like it to
like
be.
To the caliber that you had wanted it to be.
Yeah. So it just created so much tension lately, and if you put together that with COVID situation, all the clients are pulling out from projects, and yeah, it's just annoying. It's just annoying.
So show of hands, who in here has had a struggle with either contractors or based on, and this doesn't have to be during COVID, it could be any time that you've had maybe your idea and their idea wasn't the same. Can you just raise your hand? All right, so this is a very uncomfortable conversation a lot of times, right? So has anybody felt like they have rocked it out when they've had this conversation? Like, and it's gone really well? Andre, you look like you were going to say something. Oh, but you're muted.
It can be awkward, I guess, especially when there's money involved. I wouldn't say that it's ended well. I haven't been in too many situations like that, but honesty is, I guess, is putting it straight out on there is usually the best way to do it. But then again, if you are doing it via Zoom, you might not be getting your point that you want or your feelings across as you want. I don't know how it's difficult to say if it'll end out well or not, but I think honesty is the best thing. Just put it, otherwise you're gonna burn up inside, I reckon.
So like, oh, go ahead. Yeah, Jose, sorry.
No, it's the same. I was saying that I'm already halfway through because yeah, I had this conversation last week and I was like, okay, do things please this and this and this way, because the one that is putting himself at stake with the client, in this case it's me, because I'm the one that is executing the project and also doing all the transaction of the money. He did completely other ways. He went the opposite way. So I had the difficult conversation already, but I didn't end things straight away because there is some personal friendship as well. So I didn't want to, straight away cut all those all those knots and then leave it like that. But it's been nearly 7 days from that, and I'm still thinking that I should have go completely forward and say, look, this is not working. We should finish this straight away.
I would just quickly add that if obviously there's clients involved, so I would personally try and see those projects through before rocking the boat too much. And as soon as because otherwise it's your name and you're in the front line there. That's my opinion. I would get that out the way as best as you can. And once that's done and your name is out of the limelight, then do it behind the scenes. That's what I would do.
Thank you so much.
What about anybody else have any a situation or they've resolved conflict like this? Or Jacob, were you going to say something?
Yeah, one thing that's really helped me is be in the future, be very clear about your expectations with them up front and be honest, and then also give yourself some padding, like with the deadline. So if the deadline's not due until Friday, make the deadline a week earlier for your contractor, or, you know, so that if something does go wrong, you still aren't like, oh shit, I have to get this to the client tomorrow.
Remember, my mom's here.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's PG people, PG people. Okay. Sorry, Mom. Her ears are probably burning a little bit. It's okay. You kind of slurred it, so maybe she didn't catch it. I love you, Jacob. All right. So I'm just going to ask it. So Dee and John, you people work together and you live together and you're married together. I don't know. And you're married. So what do you do? Dee, I'm asking you, because I know there have been some frustrations. You're like, John, I've been telling you this for 3 weeks. And he's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know. Right?
Well, it has been a little challenging, but like any working relationship, you're trying to find your groove. And John has worked for a company where he's been doing very linear type work for the last 31 years and coming into the studio last June. And I'm very organic and I just want to say everything that's on my brain. And he's like, but you said, and I'm like, I know I say a lot of things, and that's me expressing ideas and seeing which one to grab. And I think we finally found our groove after 6 months. It was challenging at the beginning.
Well, at least you knew you weren't getting out of it, right? Like this, we're doing this, buddy.
Right.
You're wearing t-shirts every day. Dee broke the chain today. This is the first time I've seen her without one of y'all's t-shirts on, which I actually really like y'all's t-shirts. Okay, so John, what do you think? How is it when you working with your partner?
And watch your mouth.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny. Anytime I mention this to somebody that we're working together, that we went from the situation we were in to this new situation over the last year, and they're like, and you're still married, so that's successful. You know, because I mean, there's no break. I mean, in a typical relationship of any kind, you have those break periods where you're going to work or you're going to do something else. But in our case, we're always together all the time. So we're both the coworker that we're complaining to, you know, or explain our situation to about household, and vice versa. So at a certain point, you don't have that outlet sometimes. So it can be a little frustrating, but I think communication wise, it's just be upfront and try to be understanding. If something doesn't make sense, you have to go, okay, wait, I'm not understanding this. And it took me a while, and I'm still working on it, by the way. At this point where she says something, I'm like, oh, that makes no sense. What are you talking about? You know, and I have to go, okay, wait. So what are you asking exactly? Because I have to adjust my tone. Because as I know, as she says, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? Yeah. So I'm working on that. But yeah, we're getting along fine. It's much better. Every day we learn to work with each other a little bit better.
So how about some Chris or Scott or Nate, Regime, Naomi, Demi, who y'all are working alone? Naomi.
Yeah, I have some thoughts, and I'm sorry if there's noise. My daughter has blocks. But I have some thoughts as the person who is the contractor quite often for like a copywriter who has the client. One thing that I've learned over the years is like, make sure that your contractor is not afraid to ask questions. Don't hire someone who has to come off as if they know everything. Because if a contractor thinks they know everything, they are going to be that person who takes it in the wrong direction because they are too afraid to ask questions. They're too afraid to clarify mid-process of like, oh, I'm in the middle. I thought I understood, but now I've hit this point that I'm not sure what they want. Don't hire someone who's not willing to come back and ask in the middle of a project and say, I don't know, you know, because when you hire that person who thinks they know everything, it is going to be double the work. And so that's just something I've learned over the years, is like, just ask questions. If you don't know something, go back to your client, which is often the person who has their own client, and ask questions, and just, it helps everybody. So when you're hiring that person, I don't know, maybe you've worked with this person for a long time, so it's been an ongoing relationship, but when you are searching for a contractor, that's what I would say is have that conversation up front. Ask, are you a good question asker? What is your process like when you hit a roadblock, and things like that, to just know up front if they're going to be willing to come back to you and ask questions, or ask questions on the front end. So it's just some thoughts as the other side of the partnership.
Chris, then Joey. Chris, then Joey. Sorry, I muted myself too.
So one of the perspectives that I'll bring is I generally work alone, so I don't have contractors that I'm working with, but there are some similarities between whether you're working directly with the client or you have people that are doing the work with you. And I think the best thing to understand at all points of the project is, was I hired for my vision or to bring their vision to life? And I think where you start confusing those is where trouble comes in. And I know for myself that when I've confused those, then I get upset, because then I'll become, by nature, I'm a people pleaser. And so I just want to make them happy. But when there's that dissonance between their vision and my vision, and I'm pleasing them, I am just shoving down my own emotions and feelings to make them happy. And the greater that dissonance, the more that I'm medicating myself in the way that I do, which is I love food. So I'm just going to go compulsively eat to make myself feel better. And then I resent the client. I hate my work, and I'm just an unhappy person. And that's no good for the world, or myself for that matter. That's just one perspective that I would bring.
I love it. Joey?
Yeah, something that's worked well for me in the past when bringing on new contractors is to do a project together that doesn't require payment, right? So before I need a contractor, I'll try and work with somebody and say, hey, if you don't have a portfolio site, let's build your portfolio site together. Hopefully they do, right? And most of the time they'll have a friend who wants a side project done or something like that. And if they really want to work with you, say, look, let's work on something that you're doing for somebody else. I'm not going to get paid for it. Maybe you get paid. But let's collaborate together on something where there isn't a deadline and financial pressure and my name on the line. And if that goes well, we can see what it's like to interact and work with one another. And then once there's a paid opportunity on my end, we can sync back up. So that saved a lot of frustration, because a lot of people, if you can't work well together when there's not financial and time pressure, then that weeds them out for when there's an actual contractor relationship that comes up.
All right. Who has another struggle? Nate, you haven't talked much and it's on fire there. So you want to talk about your struggle? It's just good to see your face, buddy.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I guess my biggest struggle is just like, at the moment, just making time. I think I had some time carved out when I was commuting, and I had that time where it's like, okay, this, I'm on the train where like, I have my lunch break, but now it's like my lunch break is I'm the one making lunch, and there's no hour commute. It's like I have to really like stay up late or get up early, do stuff, which isn't the hardest, but it's not as consistent as before. So I think that's where I am.
Anybody else having issues with consistency or time, just scheduling? Okay, just me and Nate and Naomi. Okay, all right. Oh, John's like, oh yeah, me. Okay. Anybody? Demi, I gotta go to you, buddy. You're my time guy.
Well, yeah, I can help. There's a few things. So time, what do you call time and consistency is really two things. One is time management, which is basically how well we plan, and the other is focus, is like how it actually goes compared to the plan. So putting resources in each has its benefits. So Nate, do do you find it more that you're struggling with yourself, or do you find that there are external situations that push you out of your day?
A little of both. I think it's more myself and the management, and just like it's more me than anything else. Like,
do you like what you're working on right now? Is it pleasing?
Depends. Some of it, yes. Yeah, I think I've just been kind of procrastinating on a couple of projects and juggling things. Thinking it's like, oh, I can get both of those done in this time block, and I'm just like not quite getting there. I'm like, okay, maybe this evening, maybe tomorrow morning, kind of thing. And doesn't help that it doesn't have a hard deadline.
So Scott's also really good about getting a lot of stuff done. Scott, and you also have a lot of your attention is pulled in a lot of different ways. What has been something? Do you set tiny goals? Do you say, hey, I'm going to get this done? How do you kind of get through some of projects?
Yeah, I mean, I do both. I use, Trello all the time. So I'll have my sort of long-term goals, and then I'll have project goals. And then I have a weekly goal that's just, Monday through, well, pretty much Sunday through Saturday, because I work every day, or it seems like. And yeah, it's kind of just a bunch of checklists. And, if I have a project, I'll break down what needs to be done for that project. And then, and just kind of prioritize everything, what needs to be done first. And I don't know, it seems to work all right, but like, if you want to kind of segue into sort of challenges that I'm having right now. So my goal for this year was to kind of move away from client work completely, just to, building passive income streams and everything. But I had one big client that was pretty much funding everything else while I built this. So I was on that road, but I was nowhere near being able to support myself totally just from these other income streams. And then of course, COVID hit, and then that client was pretty much devastated. They're trying to work their way back, and they're waiting on some business loans and things like that. So that may pick back up. But so right now it's just been like, okay, I'm already moving toward this direction, but now I've got to like speed up the process. So it's kind of like a race against time. So aside from all the obviously horrible things associated with this pandemic, in some way, I guess the positive for me anyway, I'm used to working at home and doing all this stuff and being relatively solitary. So it's kind of like the world's on pause. So, whereas I had other bills, like one of my biggest bills was my daughters in dance, and the fees were just crazy, but now that's gone. So that sort of relief, certain things like that. But I know that that's going to start picking up again and everything. So it's just right now, it's just like trying to get as much stuff done, and kind of, the challenge is, just speed up that process and put out, because I'm putting out like digital products. Like right now I'm working on a collaboration with Design Cuts, but that's not even going to launch until I think October. So stuff like that. So I've got stuff in the works. I've launched other products, and each time I launch one, it builds the revenue up, but it's just a matter of having the time to build all these products and everything. So that's kind of my struggle right now.
So one thing that Demi does, he chunks out his time. I think, Scott, I think you do this too. You have time for your family, but you also have time for your health. You run. I think Demi has time. I have a whole show with Demi where he talks about this. If you want to know, it's a really good one. I don't know what episode it is number, but we can look it up. But Demi's like, me neither. But do you want to just like Andre, Demi's helped you. Can you summarize what he's helped you do within a couple sentences?
Demi definitely helped me, like 100%. I'm still learning how to work with it, but it's I guess it's blocking time and prioritizing. There's a lot of stuff that wasn't priority that I just had everything everywhere, and I'm still working through what Demi was teaching me, but It's basically blocking off time for certain tasks and prioritizing.
And then cutting it off. If you have already spent, like one of the things Demi was like, okay, well, how many hours a week do you want to work, right? So once you've chunked all that, so maybe Nate, this would help you in that ability to kind of say, okay, well, I'm because sometimes I think we're just pushing pixels. We're like trying to figure, oh, we'll try this. Oh, what about this? You know, it's like, Scott, you got something? Do you do that?
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that I'm trying to figure out the best way to do it, because I do, you know, I mean, I know what needs to be done, and I'm pretty good at like, oh, this is coming up, or like this project I'm working on right now, it's not due till October, but I have a pretty good gauge on all the different assets that I need to build and how long it's going to take. So, but it's like one thing that I started doing was this. I'm going to say it's Wednesday, I'm just going to work on this project for the whole day if I can, you know, other than, like I said, I go jogging and do other stuff like that. And if I have my kids with me or whatever, but, and then the next day I may switch to a different project and work on that. But I don't know if that's the best way to do it, or if I should, you know, maybe, you know, concentrate a whole week on a particular thing if I'm like in the zone, or maybe break it up like through this, you know, 3 hours on this and then move to another one. And again, some of that has to do with deadlines, but when nothing has to be done right away, because right now I'm kind of my own boss. I mean, I'm the one driving these projects, so I don't have anyone telling me it needs to be done other than if there's like a collaboration where there's a hard deadline, but again, that's off in the distance. So yeah, it's just kind of figuring out, does it make more sense to chunk out that time in larger areas so you're concentrating more on that particular project, or switch back and forth throughout the day? And then sometimes, you know, I get bored with working on the same thing, so I need to switch back and forth. So that's kind of, yeah, I deal with that all the time.
I think everybody's got to find their own rhythm, but you just got to try different things. You got to talk to different people about what works and what doesn't work, I think. So Paul says scheduling. Okay. And just so you know, Demi's thing is rechargingyou.com/321. Thanks to Chris for putting that up there. Paul says scheduling projects and personal time, like really blocking out my time on a calendar, really helps me. I may move things around. That's exactly what Demi talks about. And shift the blocks, things shift in the week, but the blocks are there, and actually planning it out before you are in the middle of it, so you know what you're going to be working on. You just kind of figure out, you got to test how many things. I know a Regime has something, and then Demi's going to share something, and then I have something. Okay, go. Regime. Oh, wait, Demi. Bookers.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, but Regime was going to go. But okay, well then
Oh,
we'll
so
do you,
sorry,
then
so
Regime.
sorry. No, please, done.
Demi's just so excited about sharing about time. I mean, if anybody needs help, like Demi is great to hire to help about time. Like, he's amazing. Okay. All right. Regime for real.
Yes. Okay. So I'm working in a nonprofit right now, and ideas, they come, and trying to get everybody on that idea, and then me having some difficulties with spelling and my handicaps. I've learned to say, can you do this for me while I'm thinking of all this stuff? Doing an action this weekend, I couldn't think but to give everybody a call. So I was like, I had my friend actually giving messages to our group, and then another person doing something else while my brain was thinking at the same time. But if they had not believed in, you know, or knew about what my my challenges are, they wouldn't have known to like just jump in and pick up the pace, or pick up, you know, and run with it so we can get it all done.
I think delegating's key. And it's also telling people where you are, right? Knowing where you have, we all have shortcomings, or all have stuff that we're not great at. And it could just be like Scott saying, hey, I'm going to try this week and we're going to see if it works. Or John and Dee say, hey, I'm going to try this week and see if it works. I just realized that my shirt's inside out. I did put my shirt on inside out today. Holy moly. Talk about struggling, people. Jacob doesn't even laugh. He's like, nothing surprises me with you, Diane. Like, nothing. Okay. And Demi's not laughing either. He's like, Okay. I was like, why do I feel these little ridges? It's because my shirt's on inside out.
Nobody can tell. I'll tell you that. Nobody can tell. It's very bright.
Jose's laughing so hard he had to cover his mouth. Okay. Anybody else kind of resonate with what Regime said? Making sure you tell people where you are, even if it's your family member or if it's, wherever. I think that's super important. I don't know about that, Dave Co. I'm not quite a trendsetter. Oh, John, were you going to say something? Oh, but you have to unmute, buddy. I mean, I can read your lips because I have a hearing disease, so I'm
there
okay.
You go. How's that?
Good.
Yeah, so I think it's really important with Dee and I also because we're so close to each other. We're in the same house, we're family members, and we have a tendency to think that each other knows what the other one's thinking. And then that frustration level comes in because like, how did you not know that? Well, you didn't tell me. What do you mean? I've been talking about it for a week. So that comes from both sides. I think it's something, communication is really important, keys.
Well, and even with the thing with Jose, it's like checking in on a regular basis. Like, where are you? Is this, what are you having trouble with? Is the goal still correct? Are you still like setting, is this still going to work? Or do you have enough time? Or have you put too much, are you getting stuck in something? Can I look at it? Like when you're thinking about it, maybe somebody else could look at it, right? Like Regime's talking about, because then it also gives you a fresh set of eyes to kind of go from there. Okay, Demi, share your slide now, buddy. It's a new slide, people, just so you know.
Yeah, it's a new slide. I was really quick on the trigger there. So sorry.
It's okay. I'm glad you're excited. Yeah, we can see it.
Amazing. So basically this is the breakdown I've done. Revenue today is based. So first of all, I work like 6 days a week. So just bear this in mind on how it might work for you. So revenue today is work that you're actively getting paid for. Revenue tomorrow is anything related to actual work like sales, marketing, getting clients in, and planning to get revenue. Being curious is pretty much everything in terms of self-development and learning, and sometimes it can be very sparse, it can be very weird. I usually get lost on Wikipedia on many things from pterodactyls to ancient Rome, and you never know when this is going to inform your work in 3 or 4 years. There are some things that need to be done in terms of family, social stuff, paying bills, everything. And always fun and relaxation as well, like just de-stressing for the day. And the numbers on the bottom is the time that I assign, the hours that I assign for each of these each day. And this is where it gets important. Like if you plan for all of these, especially in social household, there is this idea that sometimes our family might not need us for entertainment or socializing, but they might have a challenge, they might have something to solve. If you account time for this from the get-go, then when something happens, something important happens, you don't have to sacrifice something else in order to make this happen. This is the most important bit. So and also it might be tempting to overwork and getting I want to ask a question, like who feels that they're amazing with their time? Like who feels they got it 100% absolutely perfect? No hands. Okay. So I would say it might be like, does anyone recognize the concept of flow? Anyone heard of flow? Okay, some notes there. So flow is weird. Like if you're not 100% great with your time, trying to achieve flow might be counterintuitive. This might be running before you start walking. So it's very tempting if you are in a flow state, you're working fine, everything is going your way, you might be tempted to sacrifice your entertainment or your curious time or your scattered brain. And what you cannot anticipate all the time is that you're tapping into a resource that might be useful for you tomorrow. So a crisis like COVID is one of the situations where how distressed and how relaxed and how clear-minded we are might make a huge difference. So the idea that, oh, I'll be working more today because I'm in the flow state and doesn't matter that I'm going to sacrifice a night of good sleep or a few hours with my family. The thing is that if you're not prepared to do that, it might challenge you in a big way. So one way that I've suggested for people to do this is if you have Legos of different colors, if you have at least 5, you can create this, like you can spend your Legos by putting them on the tower. And basically when you're done with something, you don't, like when you're done with your revenue today work or when you're done with your sales work, you don't have any more to spend. So you'll have to switch to a different task, even if this task is entertainment or family or reaching out to people. So these are the 2 things that I wanted to share.
Thank you. I think that there's a writer, I can't remember what, Hemingway maybe, I don't know, probably not, some older writer in that generation. They would always end the writing when they were it was really good and they knew what the next thing they were going to write would be, instead of like going with the flow state. So he always ended when he knew what else to write, because then you pick that back up. I thought that was actually a really good point of, then that way your creative energy, your creative thing is something that is repeatable. Chris, you're shaking your head.
Oh, I've heard that before as well. And I think that leaving on an element of uncertainty only extends that frustration into, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm an imposter. People are going to find out that I'm a fraud if they know that I don't know what's next. And I think whether it's your creative projects or your career, if you're uncertain in what's next, that can be very demotivating and frustrating.
Jose, it was good to have you, buddy. Have a good dinner. So I agree. And I think that that's a really good point. I also think that goes the same vein of what Scott's doing. He's working, has this thing that's not due to October, but he's chunking it out a little bit. If he was on Demi's Legos, then if those Legos were this future work or this revenue tomorrow, this is revenue tomorrow, but he's got to actually work on it. He's got to do it. How great it'll be. I think sometimes when we put off and we put off and we put off, like who in here is a procrastinator? Sometimes procrastination is good. Adam Grant talks about, Timmy's like, oh man, Joey's like, nope, not me. I'm not a procrastinator. Nope. So maybe you and Scott are in that same thing, that we can kind of learn something from that. I don't think Dee raised her hand either, just so you know. I can't see with all the flames. I didn't see your hand getting raised, Nate. So, but when we chunk it out, if we procrastinate for too long, then it becomes this big thing that we, oh my goodness, have to do if it's come September. And then everything has to take a back seat. It's kind of like having somebody who has some sort of, like COVID. It's a COVID situation, right? Because you haven't planned for it, but because he's chunking out and working on these brushes or these, whatever he's working on, that he's attacking it a little bit. Joey, you got something to add with procrastination, since that's not one of your killers? And did you see Demi raise both of his hands? I love this. All right, Regime, you're next. Joey.
Yeah, so I guess procrastination hasn't been a huge issue. Note that like I'm single and don't have any kids, so it's a lot easier not to be distracted from work for me. I use the 90 software, formerly EOS, now it's called 90, and it uses the language of having 3-year goals, 1-year goals, 90-day rocks that you want to accomplish, and then individual weekly metrics that you track to make sure that you're keeping up with that 90-day trajectory to hit those rocks. And that's been super helpful for me. I have bi-weekly meetings with the team at Creative Critique, and we all hold each other accountable to our metrics. And the more that you can put numbers to what you're trying to accomplish, I think the harder it is to avoid it. Because I know each day, if I don't reach out to 20 people in this category, I'm not on track for the week, so I'm not on track for the quarter, so I'm not on track for the year. And it's a very intentional decision to get behind, right? So the more I can put metrics around what I'm trying to accomplish in my life on a daily basis, the more aware I am of the effects of procrastination. And it just goes into, thinking beyond the moment. To 1 degree off from your goal today will take you hundreds of miles off from your goal 3 years down the line. So I'm definitely not perfect at it by any stretch of the imagination. And I know that it's a lot easier since I'm single. But having those metrics has been super helpful. And then accountability with that bi-weekly meeting to say, hey, you're behind. What's wrong? You're hurting the team, right? Or you're on track. That's awesome. Let's keep it up.
I agree. So Jacob said what gets measured gets improved, but I am a big proponent of it doesn't always have to be measured by things like sales, right? Or like how much money you're bringing in there. And it's about engagement. Say you're trying to grow your following. Well, it's not always to me about the numbers. It can be about how many engaged followers you have. So that means how many people are going to respond and you have conversations with. So I try to make a new friend each week. And I think that having a specific goal of me making a new friend. Now, I'm not asking them for anything. I just want a new friend every week. And then, I think that that is something I do. I don't have, the intention isn't sales. It's just about growing my friends. I remember some people have been like, why do you want to meet? And I'm like, I like to meet new people and make new friends every week. I just found that it gives me a lot of energy or something like that. So I think having, like what Joey's saying, he had to contact 20 people, not get 20 people to say yes. He just had to contact 20 people. And I think, Joey, were you going to unmute and say something?
Yeah, I was just going to agree with that and say you can only control what you can control, right? I can't control other people's outcomes, but I can control, hey, I put 2 hours into working on this, or I put 3 hours into attending events or whatever it may be.
So I did something yesterday. Dee wrote, having somebody like Diane kicking your butt to accomplish things very helpful. Yes, it's also helpful to know that I can send something to Dee and be like, and lots of times I ask for real feedback, and she gives me awesome, because she's really good with her scene kerning and things like that. But yesterday I was like, I can't take any feedback except we call it celebration. I was like, all I need is celebration. Thank goodness it's done, right? I sent this sticker sheet, which actually, if you did see something, I've had to change some things because they told me I had a whole bunch of things I can't get printed. So the sticker sheet will not be exactly like that. So if you did find something that needed to be fixed, go ahead and text me or call me later. But I think it's also good. It's important. Sometimes you just need your friends to celebrate with you. Sometimes you just need a laugh that you wore your shirt inside out, and you look like Waldo. That's me. Demi's like, what? Where's Waldo? I'm just kidding. But I think that it's some, thanks, Chris, the drum he hit. So I think it's just about having people around you who are going to hold you and help you find a specific goal. Because like Jacob, he'll say, I want to do something, or sell 20 tubs of cotton candy. But COVID happens and you don't have the venues so it's really about making new flavors or trying something new, or you know what I mean? Like those are things you can control. And I love that, Joey. So Joey, what are you struggling with, buddy? It seems like you got everything together. You quit your job last week. You started doing this, right? What could be wrong?
Definitely don't have it all together. Appreciate your confidence though. It's, I guess, believing in the vision that you have for the future, sometimes you feel like an imposter, right? And you face that imposter syndrome of, I'm trying to convince other people in a dream that I have, and I believe in it. But constantly trying to convince other people to believe in it sometimes makes you question, do you really have what it takes? Like, can you actually pull this off? You know? And it's tough when you're leading a small organization, but other people around a vision, to instill confidence in them when you don't always feel confidence in yourself, right? And I know a lot of that is just a mindset thing. But that's probably the biggest thing for me recently, is believing in myself to help other people believe in the vision of specifically creative critique, what I'm working on right now.
Anybody else have that? Oh, we got a good many hands. All right, Jacob's got 2 hands. Let's talk about that, Jacob.
Yeah, similar. What I'm really struggling with lately, especially with Hot Mess, is like before COVID, I would be going to vendor events. And so it's a lot of like instant gratification, like people would see it and buy it. And so it was kind of like instant feedback loop, and it was positive. And now I feel like being online, I'm shouting into the void. And I'm having like this underlying stress about, what am I doing? Is it right? Like, it's kind of like an imposter.
But nobody knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, I think it's about having some people. I know Chris and I have a same friend, a mutual friend, same friend. What am I saying? I don't know.
Mutual is correct.
Yeah. Thanks, Timmy. A mutual friend. And I think, sometimes we just have to be there for each other. If we're trying to work on something, then we can realize that we don't all have it together, and we don't have to put on an act, but we have to have a group of people that we can be comfortable and honest with. Right, Chris? You moved your mic, so I know you're going to say something.
Oh, I was just going to add too, is just having those people in place where you can be honest with them without being judged, or because, putting it out into online world, it can be easy to get that instant judgment. But we need that raw, honest feedback from people that know us and love us without that fear.
And want us to succeed, right? Like, that's the same thing with Joey. We have to have some people on our team that will hold our feet to the fire, but also we know that they want us to succeed, right? All right, John, you raise your hand. But you have to unmute, remember. You're now still muted. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. I'm learning how to use a mic apparently. So yeah. And Chris, by the way, before I forget, I could just sit and listen to your voice before I go to bed. It's so mellow and calm. Anyway, yeah. So the whole imposter thing, right? I mean, it's easy to get wrapped up, especially with the online world, the abyss, as Jacob said it was. It's like there's so much talent out there, and you see all these things, and you're like, what is the point? Who is going to like my stuff or what I'm doing, whatever my talent is, your talent, whether it be a product or whatever. You see it out there, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to go, I don't know. I'm going to go hide my head in a pillow and listen, to Chris's voice, and that's it. And that'll make me feel better. But yeah, so you have to set those things aside and realize that, I mean, gosh, did we have these problems before the internet? I feel like we didn't. The imposter syndrome wasn't really there because you didn't.
No way. In high school, I had imposter syndrome.
See, yeah.
Yeah, clearly you were very self-confident and had no problems in high school. Anybody high school problems? Nobody? Yeah, it's just me, Demi. Okay, okay. Sweet. A few of us, right, John? So, like, did you ever play a sport and you weren't the best at the sport?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true. But it was always a drive that I felt I could be better, right? And maybe that's where I'm at now, is sometimes I wonder, I'm so scattered with some of the things that I'm doing. I feel like I can't be better than those people. So now what do you do? So maybe your confidence is shaken a little bit, right?
Maybe it's just clearer. Maybe because the team was smaller when you were playing. What were you playing? Don't say golf.
No, wrestling, swimming.
Okay.
Running.
Okay, those are team things. I mean, swimming's more individual, but you have team, there are relays, there are things like that. But it's smaller. It may be 100 people on your team. I don't know. We had a big swim team, maybe not.
Yeah.
But like, you know, you have and other people believe in you. They also know where your abilities are, and they know that you can get better, and you have somebody else directing you. Here in life, it's us. Nobody's calling Scott every morning being like, Scott, you can do it today. Let's go. Let's get on. Let's go out there and run in the 106 temperature in Phoenix, right? You can do it, buddy. You won't die today in the whatever, right? Like, nobody's doing that, but maybe we need to do that for each other. But then we have the internet, which is like this sort of anti-cheerleader. If you're on Twitter, I don't really spend a lot of time on that one. But I don't really have, I don't know, maybe I just don't listen enough to people saying bad things, but I just don't have a lot of people saying bad things about me. It's fine. You can say bad things about me. I'm happy to grow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that people are saying bad things about me. Well, now you got me questioning that.
But I mean, you haven't been on Twitter, but no, I'm just kidding. Nobody's saying bad things, but you know what you have you're envisioning either somebody else is way far ahead of you, but you're comparing yourself to Scott today, and really you need to compare yourself to yourself yesterday instead of
right on.
And Dee says you're a perfectionist.
That there is that.
Man, there's a good talk at camp about that. Nick, people, I don't know what day that is. I think it's day 12 at camp. If you guys don't know, there's camp coming in. It's 2:30, so anyway, can we round up? I just want to hear you of what you're struggling with. So, man, I'll just be praying for you about it. So I'm going to go around and you tell me what you're struggling about. And then we may have to just pick up struggle again at the end of July when we do our next community thing. All right. Chris, I'm going to let you in because you do have the best voice. I mean, I even said that in the chat. I was like, but way before John even said it. All right. So Nate, since I've never seen you before, but I've seen your little face up there for me, your little, not face, your name many times. Can you start? So besides the things that you talked about, which I think was just overwhelmed, you have too much coming in, you don't know when to close the door to business. But can you restate your struggle, or did you freeze it? No, the fire's still happening.
Yeah. Wait, no, mine was the time one,
but is it because you're putting too many things on your plate because you don't have the commute, you don't have downtime?
A little bit of that, or just like, I think it's just kind of like the schedule is like reshifted, and I haven't like kind of just staked out the time to reclaim it.
And that's normal, like, I don't know if any of us have totally shifted correctly.
Yeah,
or not correctly, but at all. We've done it, made it happen and work for us yet.
Yeah, because whenever it starts to feel normal, then like something else kind of comes in, like, like my office and my day job they're like trying to reopen and bring people in, and there was like a whole thing with that, and that just kind of throws you back into into uncertainty and following these and whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
So I haven't too hard on myself. I don't think my clients have been either. So
that's good. All right, Jacob, how about you?
Into the feedback loops, trying to create a positive feedback loop. But listening to this talk, I've started to think I have a problem with thinking in absolutes. Like sometimes it's a really good thing. Like if I really believe something, I know it's going to happen. Like I started working myself right out of college. I knew that I was going to make it. I had no doubt. But then as soon as I have doubt, it's like it's done. Like that, it's over. So, and it applies to every aspect of my life. So.
So, I don't ever know if I'm muted. Sorry. There's a book that I know you would love. It's called Atomic Habits. And I know we read books together, but you would really like this one. And it's he talks about this, having this mindset of this is the way it's going to be. And sometimes it's really detrimental, but I think sometimes you have an amazing drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
We just need to do at like 10, because I know you like to get up late, right? Okay, Jacob, today's the day. You're going to do great. But I think that's good. Really good to know, because maybe absolutes, maybe it's a little bit more shaky than, and not as solid. Because sometimes it's good that it's not as solid as defined, right? All right, Regime. Oh, thank you, Chris. Man, you're the best. You're my new Vanna.
Am I talking about procrastination?
No, so you are talking about whatever is your struggle. We're just restating. Oops, sorry. It's my first day using the mic, me and John. We're restating our struggles just so that we know what it is that I know what you were struggling with. I'm writing it down.
Okay. What's my struggle? So my struggle is,
You want me to come back to you?
yes.
Okay. Demi, how about you?
Oh, this balance between helping people who don't want to be helped and feeling that I'm holding out. So there's this in-between situation where I'm trying to assess when somebody asks for help, I always try to assess if they're actually, if they want a pat in the back or they actually need help, because I'm a very blunt person. So I'm not sure if I should just dish it as I think it, or if I should dance the dance and just support people. So it's really hard to tell for me.
It is. They need to tell you what kind of feedback they're looking for, right? Man, I have this feedback sheet. I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
It's like 7 different kinds of feedback. Okay. Not that it'll totally help you, but it may be somewhere to start. What kind of feedback do you need? Do you need celebration? Because I know yesterday I needed celebration. All right, Dee, I'm going to you next.
Okay, so I would say my struggle is deciding what to do. As I said on the podcast a couple weeks ago, I grew up without the internet, playing in the woods in cardboard boxes. And then the internet came along, and having a camera in your hand, I want to do everything. So trying to find a focus instead of trying to do everything and diluting my time.
It's a good one. You got to play a lot of different instruments before you know which one you really like. All right, Andre.
I think I ran out of the stall with all my issues right at the beginning. But I guess it's just, for me, it's just learning how to deal with, I'm assuming it's anxiety at times. I'm assuming that's what it is. But just, Jimmy's helped me out a lot in terms of timekeeping, which has helped. But I guess it's just struggling with this COVID and just this whole negativity and being online a lot more. Where this has also helped a lot with Jimmy helped me out with timekeeping is actually not spending so much time on pointless social media rubbish. So yeah, just my biggest issue is dealing with being overwhelmed.
Okay. Regime, you tell me when you're ready, just like wave. You're ready now? Go, girl.
Okay, I had written it down too. So mine is failure. And so failure, I said failure, with failure comes knowledge of self-awareness of your own talents and skill set. And it also acknowledges the skills of others around you.
I love it. Failure's not actually the bad. That means we're learning, right? For sure. Joey.
Yeah, like I mentioned, just imposter syndrome and believing in myself as I convince other people to believe in the same things.
I just gotta write it down. It's like the really awkward pause that I should have cut out of the podcast. I'm so sorry for you people listening. Oh, is something wrong? What happened? There was a big pause because she was writing people in her Waldo shirt. All right. John. Is it the mute button that's got you? Is that your
Well,
struggle, buddy?
It is. I don't know. I can't run a mouse either. So a mouse or a mic. All the M's. So yeah, it's a cross for me between like the imposter syndrome and picking a direction, and I think they kind of work in tandem with each other. I have lots of different directions. I know I have talents going certain directions, and I know that if I focused on one thing, I would be able to do that one thing and do it well, right? But you get yourself into this circle of what not only is going to make me happy, right? But there's also what is productive and useful to someone else, and someone else is going to want that, pay you for it, right? You still have to make a living. So there's that eternal circle of running, and I feel like I'm running in circles. But between Dee and I think we have started to kind of hone in on our circle. We focused in more on an eco-friendly type of clients for our business, and we're working now in the merchandise that was a lot more difficult and a lot more time consuming than what we thought it would be, retail and product. So we're starting to kind of hone in on that, and it's all starting to come together. So yeah, just the imposter syndrome and picking a direction, which I think we're starting to circle in.
Now I have trouble with my mic. Sorry about that. All right. Well, I think a lot of us, I mean, if you struggle with imposter syndrome, raise your hand. Oh, Andre's like, we're slow to the game. He's like, oh, not me. I'm like Joey with procrastination. I'm just kidding, buddy. I saw you. Okay, Scott, and then we end it with Chris. Well, maybe I'll tell you what was crappy with me. Scott, but we'll still end it with Chris. I'll go next then, Chris. You'll end it because you have the best voice.
Yeah, for me, so just to kind of reiterate, for me, I think it's mostly just momentum and, trying to increase productivity a little more than I have been, but still find, free time and stuff so I don't go insane. And just, trying to, do all that and avoid burnout and just prioritizing tasks and everything and just moving forward,
How do you avoid burnout? Because you seem like you work a lot.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't struggle with burnout so much, but it's always like in the back of my mind, is just going to be a couple of times. It's just like, I do take breaks when I need it. Like, this past weekend was Father's Day. So I went and spent time with my dad up at his place and everything and just kind of got away. So I do that when I need to. But I like what I do. So it's just, to me, it's not always a struggle. So it's hard for me to give advice on that. I just don't deal with that much, but every once in a while, and again, it's just that it's switching tasks. I do a lot of different things. So if I find one thing I'm just getting tired of, I'll switch and then I'll move back to another, back to that task later after I focus on something else.
When you have a lot of working parts, I think.
Definitely, yeah.
I can't. I just am too Southern. You got to go next, Chris. I got to be last. That's a good host or hostess.
Absolutely. It is your show after all. If you would have asked me in January what my struggles were, they are night and day from where my struggles are today. If you would have asked me last month, my struggles were drastically different from where they are today. And I think where they're at right now is, what is my place in the world right now as a straight white man? And I want to elevate other people's voices, but also have a voice as well. I want to be empathetic and caring, but not get destroyed by the empathy and care. And so it's a very fine line right now where I find myself. I work with a lot of women-owned businesses, and they talk a lot about destroying the patriarchy. And I instantly kind of like, I'm like, I get uncomfortable, but at the same time, that's where I need to be. in that place right there. So the struggle, I guess, is owning that place that I'm in, minimizing my defensiveness and being open to those conversations, and even at being willing to be in a place like this and sharing that, I feel is my way of working through that struggle, if that makes sense.
Well, that's kind of why I wanted everybody to restate it, because once you've said it once, it might go away. But then to restate it, I think is also be like, maybe it's not as bad as I thought, right? You're naming it in a way. Nick talks about that in day 12 at camp, if people want to go. But there's a camp. You can only buy tickets till Monday. Mondays, literally, you can buy tickets all day Monday, but no more after that. So my biggest thing is that I hate selling really bad. I feel like I've been all up in y'all's grill about this camp. Oh my gosh, my mom will be like, holy moly, Diane, I thought you were going to end early. Yeah, well, then you started talking about camp and it just went on and on and on and on. Well, it will be over. I will be talking about it next week. I know you're right, Demi. I need to hire somebody. And I've done. I think that's the other struggle, is that I am working a little bit too late. And I have hired some people. I know now what I've done, that I know where I could, I think sometimes you have to do something first, and then now you know where you could tell somebody how you wanted it to do. I have Will doing most of my, he did all the After Effects videos, thankfully. And I've had, my interns are working, and it's been good, but I probably didn't plan long enough in advance. So I wish I had a little bit more Scott's forethought and thinking about it. I kind of have an attitude of, it always works out. I'll figure it out. Like I can do it. Right? But there's only, a certain number of hours in the day that I actually can work, because I get tired because I'm old. But I still think I have a lot more energy than some of my students who are lots younger than me. And I attribute that to ADHD, people. It's a great disease, and I'm very thankful that I have it. My mom will be like, why'd you tell us we had that thing? Anyway, I do. It's okay. It's actually helps me a great deal, but I know it hasn't always been great. I wasn't always the best student. But so I struggled in COVID life. I struggled with being alone in this little space that I have every day. I'm a people person, so I really like people. I think John's there with me. He's a very people person too, right? My husband's here, and I think it would be really hard if there wasn't anybody here. I think for me, man, my heart goes out to people who are alone, right? Like, I mean, Jacob, thank goodness you got 2 dogs, right? Like, but it's I'm looking around. Joey too. I don't even know if you have any dogs. Do you have any dogs, Joey?
I do not. I've definitely considered getting one though during this time.
Did you know that the shelters are done much? They're empty. Like, so many people have gotten dogs that there's, anyway, what a great thing that's happened. Anyway, those are things I'm struggling with. So I was like Joey. I had a number of people that I wanted to tell. I did a video and I just told some people about what I was doing, because I feel like maybe somebody didn't know. There's things all of you people are doing stuff, and I might not know what you're doing because I am in a hole or something. And so there's no reason to assume that you know what I'm doing. So anyway, I just wanted to this will be it. You can go to creativesignite.com. Now there are 27 speakers. It's 1 hour a day. It's for the month of July, from June 29th. I know that's not July, but June 29th through August 1st. There's 2, if you're a happy camper or trailblazer, you get the Wednesday night community group like this, where we'll be breaking into small groups, and then a Saturday group. And on Saturday, July 18th, there will be a workshop for like 2.5 hours with Dave Clayton. If you're in the UK, right, Demi, with you, or are you on the same time zone, Andre, as you are, as Demi? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yep.
I can do that math. Anyway, so it's at 4 p.m. y'all's time, and for every other time zone other than, I guess, Pacific, whatever, I can do those. Anyway, it's 8 a.m. for you, Chris, super early, but right. But then for Regime, it'll be 11 a.m. That's the Saturday. The Dave Clayton workshop is going to be awesome. Anyway, creativesignite.com. Thank you, Chris, for putting it in there. It's rechargingyou.com. It forwards over to the inside thing, because I didn't want to pay for 2 sites. Of course, I'm not going to pay for 2 sites. I'm just going to forward that URL, people. Like any smart business woman, right, that wears her shirt inside out. And anyway, all right, I'm excited. I'm really, really excited. I usually take July off. I realize now I should have taken June off while I was building this camp. I don't know what I was thinking, but maybe next year I'll do a little bit better. But I have at least 1 guest, and this is perfect for you people who didn't get to go to camp, or you are listening to this super late. Brittany Barnhart, man, she has niched. She took that big, ugly, scary step of niching, but she really just found it within herself. She did something that she was really passionate about. So I actually think that maybe the niche is the exploration. It's doing other things. So it's not necessarily you're just going to work for dentists. It's that maybe you do lots of things, or maybe you're a problem solver and you help people with certain things. So I don't think you have to niche on an industry. And maybe your niche is being curious. Maybe that's the niche. Anyway, Brittany is coming in. She's going to be coming in strong. She was just curious, and now she's powerhouse, rebranded. So she's going to teach us about her path and how she's gotten there. So I can't wait. It's going to go perfectly with camp. So if you're not at camp, no problem. You can watch Brittany and get a little bit of insight. And I hope that you guys will join me at camp. It's my first year, and maybe not the last one. I hope it's not the last one, but it might be. We never guaranteed anything, right, Demi? Right? You better put your Legos, stack them every day, so you're not packing all your work in, then, right? All right, Nate's on the phone. He's got a call. He's really he's doing his stuff. Oh, now he's off the thing. Anyway, it's totally fine, buddy. I'm just glad to see your face. I'm glad to see all of you. Thank you guys for sharing your struggle. It's really hard to do this. It was really hard for me to do this alone, obviously. But I really am glad that I have such good friends that will come on here and also be ballsy and share what is a struggle. So I really appreciate it. So I guess we'll see you next week. You guys can say bye if you want.
Bye-bye,
Appreciate you, Diane.
Bye.
Thank you, Diane.